live until 10, taking your phone calls, your emails and your text messages. Right, local politics next. We've met 4 of the 7 candidates on the shortlist to be the person who fights the Bracknell constituency for the Tories at the next general election. Between now and 8, we meet the other 3. First up, Margaret Doyle. Hi, Margaret.
Good morning, Andrew.
Morning to you. I'm going to start where I did yesterday with Julia. There's definitely something that unites all 7 of you on this list in terms of politicians. You're all quite young and you're all quite good looking.
Oh my God, well that's very flattering for you to say.
Do you think that was part of the selection process? I think it must have been, to be honest.
What's really amusing is that they used to allow photographs, and now over the past kind of almost 10 years, the party has gone to a huge effort to try and professionalise the whole process. So you're absolutely not allowed to send in a photograph.
Right.
Believe it or not.
Yeah. Interesting. You're a journalist, basically.
Correct.
I mean, we mentioned that most of the 7 of you don't have many in the way of sort of local connections to Bracknell, some more than others. Your history is as a journalist writing for papers like The Telegraph.
Yeah, and then The Economist, and so I've been, as you can imagine, I write about finance, and so my job has typically, as you can imagine, been based right in the heart of London. I'm speaking to you now from Canary Wharf.
Why do you want to be the MP for Bracknell then, Margaret?
Well, I guess let's talk about sort of why I want to be an MP, which is that I'm interested in policy, and I guess, I mean, of course, I know you're interested in policy and politics, and you know, many journalists are, and the difference in deciding to become an MP or wanting to become an MP is that you have the ability to make decisions. And I hope that I'd be good at it, partly because I think that I can communicate, and secondly because right now it's pretty important to understand the economy, and that's something that I've written about and broadcast about for, you know, certainly the past 10 to 15 years. So I think I know that well. And why Bracknell? I mean, Bracknell is very appealing because it's a town that has a lot going for it. It has a lot of potential. It has got, it's been incredibly successful in attracting lots of big, important businesses to locate there, which I think, you know, that's a world that I'm very familiar with in dealing with chief executives, and I think that it's an important role for the local MP to be almost like an ambassador, and to make sure that all the businesses that are there are happy to be there, and to attract even more. And secondly, obviously, there's a huge project that has been in the pipeline for a long time, which is the regeneration of Bracknell Centre.
25 years, thereabouts. It's talked about a lot, but we never see anything built.
Yeah, so clearly that's something that I know. I mean, clearly that's really mainly a council responsibility, but I think where the MP comes in is to, in a way, kind of go out to bat with the council, for the council, both in national circles and also to some extent in international circles, because, as I said, like a lot of the Thames Valley, you know, Bracknell is this hub for not just sort of, you know, the UK headquarters for, you know, companies like BMW, but also the European headquarters for a lot of, you know, very high profile, you know, companies, Dell, Fujitsu, 3M. So it's very important, I think, to have that ability and interest in business, and particularly international business. Margaret,
thank you for coming on the show. Good to chat with you, and I'm sure we'll talk again at some point. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Margaret Doyle, one of the 7 people who would like to be on from the Tory side anyway, the next MP for Bracknell. Let's meet another one. Here's Katy Lindsay, who's up next. Hello, Katy.
Hello there, how are you?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. You had the wise sense to marry a bloke called Andrew. That's what I noticed first about you.
Indeed, yes.
You've got a fair bit of sort of economic credential as well in terms of your career. Tell me a bit about why you want to be the Bracknell MP, Katy.
I want to be an MP because I want to make a difference, and I know that's an easy phrase to say, but it's something that I feel extremely strongly that actually, completely opposite to many people say, oh, when you're an MP, you just kind of have to go through the lobbies, you've just got to do what you're told. I think that's completely not true. I think if you're persistent, you can make a huge difference as an MP, you know, grasp some issue and keep pulling it through. But Bracknell is an exciting one for me because, well, first of all, I grew up in Surrey, and I used to come to Bracknell. I'm sure everyone will remember that about 25 years ago, by far the best cinema in the whole area was in Bracknell.
Well, there's the Robins in Camberley. That wasn't too bad before it closed down.
Well, I would drive half an hour to Bracknell because it was by far the best cinema around, and also I used to do sort of holiday jobs in Bracknell. I've actually got a longer standing, and this is not a close connection, but it's something that I'm proud of, and I think it's rather interesting. My husband, Andrew, who you mentioned earlier, his grandfather was a guy called Thomas Brownrigg, and he planned out Bracknell in the 1950s.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so he was the first Bracknell Town Centre, well, not Town Centre, he was the first general manager of the Bracknell New Town Development Corporation.
So he's the bloke we can blame for Bracknell Town Centre being such a mess.
Completely the opposite, and that's why she'd select me as MP, because I believe Bracknell's a huge success.
Right.
And it can be made even better, and I will take it upon myself to rectify any mistakes that you think that he made.
From a family perspective, you take family responsibility for that.
I will take family responsibility for putting in place the right health space and working with the PCT to make sure that happens. Making sure that finally we get the regeneration of the town centre. And I tell you what my first pet project will be.
Go on.
Signage.
Oh, right. What, more signs around the roundabouts?
More signs how to get into the town centre.
Katy, thank you very much indeed for coming on. I'm sorry we don't have more time to talk to all of you, because there are 7 of you, though. We have to keep it quite tight. Good luck in the process, and thank you for talking to us.
Thanks very much.
That's Katy Lindsay. So last man standing of the 7 people who want to be the Tory candidate at the next election in Bracknell is a guy called Ryan Robson, who's with us live. Hello, Ryan.
Good morning, Andrew, and thank you for inviting me on the programme.
Pleasure. So you're sort of just down the road in Bagshot, where you run a company.
That's right, I've been a director of Bagshot-based DC Leisure, which runs local authority leisure centres for many years. But we employ lots of local people, so through them I've come to know and love the Bracknell area. But also
it's tough, isn't it? Because, clearly you guys all want to be politicians, you all want to be an MP, and boy, if you can land what has been traditionally a safe Conservative seat like Bracknell, who would blame you for trying? These local credentials we're hearing are a bit on the tenuous side, though, aren't they, don't you think?
Well, as I say, I've come to know the area really well. My wife's a Windsor girl, so I've got lots of relations locally. And the thing is, I know I've got a lot more to learn, but everyone I meet from Finch Hampstead to Great Hollands is so welcoming, and they're really keen to tell me how I can help.
Yeah, it's certainly a nice area. So what was your pitch then? Because you're in the top 7 out of a couple of hundred people who put their names forward for this, including some well-known local politicians. So what did you say to persuade them? What's your pitch?
Yeah, well, what I said was, at a time particularly of economic crisis, I'd like to use my practical business experience of job creation, investment and building some winning teams to stand up for Bracknell and fight for local jobs and services.
Right. Just give us a sense of what this process is going to involve next. As we've met all 7 of you fleetingly on the show over the past few days, you now have to do like a sort of PowerPoint presentation day, don't you, where you pitch up to Bracknell Conservatives, anyone else who wants to turn up.
Well, that's the really important thing. We're going to get out there and meet lots of local people, and there's going to be a big public meeting on October the 17th at the Blue Mountain Golf Range, and anyone who registers by the 12th of October, anyone who's resident in the constituency can come along and select the candidate. So that's the really exciting thing. It's going to be a really local choice.
It's a bit of a sort of like you have to give up a day of your life to go and do it. But if you care about politics, then it's a thing to do. It's like a US primary, really, isn't it? That's how they're organising this selection process. Ryan, really good to have you on. Good luck, as I've said to all the other candidates as well, and we'll see who the victories, see who the Tories in the area and local people choose. Thanks very much. Load and listen to those interviews again on the iPlayer. We had the 3 today, 3 yesterday morning. It was about 7:20 we did it, and we spoke to Ian Dale, probably the best known of the 7 on the list, at about 9:15 on Wednesday's show, and we'll keep in touch with this process of the selection of the Tory candidate and let you know what happens. Let's have a look at the roads now.